We now have the pleasure of being joined by Paloma Villicana, Fox sports reporter out in Las Vegas. Paloma, UNLV's has a pretty good start to the season. Has it been fun covering the Rebels so far this year?
Yeah, it's been really awesome. Barry Odom coming into town, he has completely changed the college football landscape in Las Vegas. We were mentioning before the podcast that the Rebels, they've just exploded on the scene. Barry Odom, 9-5 season last year, and really, really great to see UNLV, win 9 games for the first time in a long time. And to start off the season 4-0, already defeating 2 Big 12 opponents. That's really exciting. And now Syracuse is next. So Barry Odom shared his respect to Syracuse, knows that program very well, obviously with the Georgia background and the Temple background. He knows what to expect on Friday night. Obviously, Barry Odom spent, over 30 years in the SEC. So he knows kind of that region of the country very well. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun. I think Las Vegas has just exploded in the sports scene with the Aces and the Golden Knights and the Raiders and UNLV football on the rise. It is never ending here in Vegas. And of course, on the Las Vegas Strip, it's like every game is like a club with a game going on. So it's so much fun. It's Allegiant Stadium is, in my opinion, the best football venue in all of America. So no, really excited what Barry Odom is building here in Vegas.
You mentioned Barry Odom. Before he got there, the 3 years before that, UNLV had 7 wins. They have 13 already in a year and a half under him. First top 25 ranking ever in school history. Was this success expected kind of going into the season in year two of Barry Odom?
I think I've seen this program just so focused, super intense focus. Something I really haven't seen with a lot of sports teams that I work with. You can kind of see the culture of a sports team led by their head coach. So, how the head coach operates is how the team will operate. I've been with losing coaches, I've been with winning coaches, I've been with really dysfunctional sports franchises, and I've been with really successful sports franchises. So I can really differentiate the two of winning games requires the most attention to detail in executing in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and kicking. So when it comes down to the detail, the time spent on each side of the ball, Barry Odom is super, super focused, super detailed. And then he has a locker room of transfers from the SEC, from the Big 12, from the ACC, and of course, locally here in Las Vegas, too. So he has an older, experienced locker room with guys from the SEC and from the Big 12 that have that experience of playing in those big venues, playing against really great talent. And you put them all in a melting pot together here at UNLV, and it's iron sharpening iron, on defense, on offense, and on special teams as well. So, when you talk about the transfer portal and trying to get all the talent you can get, I think a success story of Barry Odom, bringing all this talent from all over the country, everywhere he's been: Missouri, Memphis, Arkansas, and bringing that here in Vegas. So that's what I've seen.
You mentioned how exciting it's been covering this UNLV team and their success. Things got a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting a few weeks ago when Matthew Sluka decided that he would depart the team because of the NIL dispute. What has the past few weeks been like with his entire situation?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shock to not only UNLV fans, but across the country. It's unprecedented what we've seen: a quarterback leaving the program, 3-0 after a bye week, getting ready for Fresno State, I would say. So, it was a shock. That is the first word I would say. But I think UNLV is kind of maybe like just a guinea pig of, how do you tackle these NIL situations, these NIL deals, when there's just not so much legislation around it, and NIL is different in each university, in each state, within each, program of these boosters and donors. Like, NIL is different for every single university in every single state. So what are the rules? What are the guidelines? What can you and can't you do? That area is just so gray. And, when you're talking to football coaches and you're talking to football players, and they're not necessarily 1,000% up to speed on everything, it just becomes so lost in translation. And for me, as a sports reporter, I don't have a guideline or a book on NIL rules and what you can and can't do. So that is definitely something I think we're all trying our best to get up to speed 100%. And NIL is going to look different at every single school, and in every single state, it's just going to look different. So it comes down to the boosters, it comes down to the donors. I know next year things are changing, where universities can pay their athletes. So I don't know. Who does the blame come down to? Is it the NCAA? Is it the school? Is it the state? Is it the football program? Like, there's just so many question marks with Matt Sluka's situation. But it was his decision to leave the program after a 3-0 start. And it's up to every individual football player, where you want to go play, how much money you can go make. So it depends on what each football player walks into the locker room, what his goals are. Does he want to make money? Does he want to win football games? Like, it's all individual based. And that it really has changed things dramatically in the college football world, of these kids transferring, looking for other opportunities. So, my dad and, all these, older football guys, it's just kind of lost the glimmer of that winning is the most important thing, and winning football games and winning championships, that's no longer at the top of the list for football players. So it is so individual based now on what these not just football. I mean, it is all sports. It is every single sport. You see it in basketball, obviously, you see it in every sport. So it's just been so tough that every off season you're building a brand new roster. Every off season you can expect to have a brand new quarterback. So it's been challenging, I'd say, since the NIL came out, since the transfer portal came out. I think it's just been really challenging in the collegiate sports world.
Yeah, I find it interesting too, especially on the Syracuse front, because they were in the discussions to potentially try and get Matthew Sluka before they ended up getting Kyle McCord. And somebody who, at least based on what I've seen his teammates say in the last week or so, Malik Williams seems to be all about winning football games. He had a great game in his first start, the Campbell transfer. How does he kind of fit into the offense, and does the offense change at all from Matthew Sluka to Malik Williams at quarterback?
Yeah, and what I think and what I can say about Barry Odom is he really built a lot of depth at every position, not just the quarterback room. I mean, he's loaded at every position. And I think that was a really big emphasis this offseason, is trying to get as many guys ready to play football as possible. And that's so important. Obviously, the quarterback position, very important. But when it comes to, the defensive line, the secondary, the tight ends, the running backs, offensive line, he really, really did as best as he could this offseason to build depth at every position. Malik Williams, really special 6th-year senior. Like you mentioned, his goal is to win. He's definitely a leader in that locker room, and he's older. I mean, he played 5 years at Campbell. We saw on Saturday against Fresno State that he can throw and run, very efficient through the air and on the ground. So, in my eyes, did UNLV football get better with Malik Williams as QB1? Yes, I do think they got better. I think the execution of Coach Marion's go-go offense, which is so explosive, it's so versatile. He likes to do a lot of different things. It's not just one running back or one quarterback. He likes to use all of his guys on offense. So it's a very, very dynamic, versatile offense. And Malik Williams, 1-0, 59 points against Fresno State. So happy to see the Rebels, continuing this win streak they got going on.
And you mentioned that kind of depth that this team has assembled. How important is that balanced offense? Because their leading receiver and leading rusher are both sitting on 250 yards. So is that really how the team likes to attack with, throwing the ball, but also keeping it on the ground as well?
No, I think Barry Odom praises being able to run the ball. Their offensive line is doing such a great job this year. I think this offensive line is historic too, because they're putting up rushing yards that are like program history. So they have 2 All-American wide receivers, Ricky White and Jacob DeJesus, that are just super explosive. And then, on the ground, they have a running back, Jaden Jet Thomas, who's just amazing. And the Mountain West is just known for producing elite backs. So, Jaden Jet Thomas is super explosive, but that running back room is so loaded. I mean, they run 4 or 5 guys throughout the game. So, when I talk about depth, it's so fun to see what Coach Marion does. He's so creative in this go-go offense. It's never just like one guy scoring. They have multiple guys scoring, multiple guys catching, and scoring rushing touchdowns. So Barry Odom loves to run the ball, and I think that's just the foundation of his offense. And it starts up front too, with this offensive line is super, super talented. They have a 6th-year center who's just the best in the nation, I think. It's incredible to see just and Barry Odom is just in year 2 of his era at UNLV, and to see these numbers on offense, setting program records, it's super exciting to see.
Who else other than, Malik Williams, the quarterback, White, the star receiver, DeJesus, another wide receiver on offense, should Syracuse fans keep an eye on? You mentioned the depth, but is there 1 or 2 kind of below that A tier that maybe could be a big impact?
Yeah, special teams. I mean, I know you guys do a great job on special teams too, but UNLV really prides themselves on special teams. Jacob DeJesus last year, he was just a monster on his kick returns, punt returns. UNLV's running back, Jaden Jet Thomas, just took a kickoff for a score. So that was really impressive to see. But their special teams is just, they're all explosive on there. Ricky White block punt for a touchdown against Fresno State. So not only are these guys, just really good on offense and on defense, but special teams is UNLV's edge X factor, I'd say. And they spent a lot of time during practice on special teams. So they're a force. They're a force. Fresno State is a really good ball team, really, really good ball team. So for them to put up 59 points, and then Kansas and Houston, those were 2 wins that UNLV got the job done on the road too. So when all the conference realignment news came out, a lot of fans wanted UNLV to join the Big 12 just because of their success this season against Big 12 opponents. So no, UNLV, they're a threat. They're a threat on all sides of the ball, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
And, you just said all sides of the ball. We've touched on the offense, special teams as well. But on that defensive side, this team has 9 interceptions in the first 4 games. Is there a player on the defense who has really stepped up and is the leader on that line?
Yeah, UNLV's defense is completely revamped. I mean, a few years ago, this team during the COVID season was 0-6, 2-10. Just some rough years with the previous head coach. So to see this defense play lights out, and they're just a threat, at every level. It's so much fun to watch. Linebackers, Jackson Woodard is, in my opinion, the best linebacker in all of college football. He's so explosive. He has speed. He's just a monster out there. Defensive end Antonio Doyle is just incredible too. That entire D line is just, they're just they're physical and really talented. And then in the secondary, Barry Odom brought in a lot of transfers from the SEC and the Big 12 to bulk up his secondary. I think that's an area they struggled in last year against Kansas, not being able to be dominant back there, but definitely in the secondary, they had 4 players on Saturday with 4 interceptions. So it was exciting to watch. Jalen Catalon is a safety that's just so explosive. He's coming from Texas. He spent time at Arkansas. So it's kind of pick your poison in this defense. I mean, they're so good. They're really good. Their defense, it's in my eyes, it's just so exciting because I know what this team was a few years ago, and to see this defense where they're at today playing so lights out, being able to stop Kansas on the road, being able to stop Houston on the road, shutting down Fresno State's quarterback. So I know you guys have a good quarterback too. So it'll be a great matchup on Friday night.
Kyle McCord can definitely sling it around. The UNLV fans getting used to some success under Barry Odom, like you said, maybe asking to go to the Big 12. They were actually asked to go to the Pac-12, but they opted to stay in the Mountain West. Did that surprise you at all, kind of given, the craziness around conference realignment and everything that kind of goes on with that?
Yeah, there's so many moving parts with the conference realignment. I feel like I see news every minute on my phone about who's going where and who's moving. And I hate to report anything on conference realignment because it literally changes every second. So it's been awesome to see UNLV re-sign with the Mountain West for 6 years. And in their contract, it says that, their hopes and their goals are to still find a Power 4 home. So they were paid millions of dollars to stay in the Mountain West, and that's great because you can maybe keep Barry Odom around for a little bit longer to pay him more money and his coaching staff. So no, it's nice to have that foundation of being in the Mountain West or being paid money to stay in the Mountain West. And you can still be able to leave and find a Power 4 home. So it's kind of it's a win-win situation for UNLV, I think. Obviously they were, in discussions of moving to the Pac-12, but they would have had paid the Mountain West an exit fee to go to the Pac-12. And, it's a win-win situation for them to stay in the Mountain West. They get paid more. They still have the flexibility to leave. And no, I think they'll dominate the Mountain West this year. So, no, I think it's a good situation for them.
So when this game came out on the schedule for Syracuse, it was like, oh, Las Vegas, that's a cool destination. It was kind of that cool road trip that the team would take. But a few years ago, of course, UNLV's been around forever, but going to Las Vegas for sports wasn't really heard of. You went to Las Vegas for other things, the casinos, etc. But how has sports in Las Vegas really just come alive in these last 5 years?
It's been incredible. I moved to Las Vegas right before the pandemic, so it was unfortunate to see Allegiant Stadium and the Raiders move here, and they didn't have any fans in Allegiant Stadium the very first year. So it was definitely challenging to open up Allegiant Stadium and get fans out to support. But now in 2024, it is the sports capital of the world. I mean, we had the Super Bowl this year, and that was so much fun. We've had the NFL draft. We've had the NHL draft. Every UFC and, every big fight wants to come in town and host it at the Sphere, which is really cool too. Hope you fans can come out to the Strip and see the Sphere is so cool. But Allegiant Stadium is a game changer. I mean, not only do the Raiders and UNLV football play there, but also, soccer games and rugby and, Taylor Swift and Beyonce and all these huge concerts come to Allegiant Stadium. And then the Aces, their success of winning 2 straight WNBA championships, the Golden Knights winning a championship, There's just been so much success in Las Vegas. And now when you visit Vegas, you can go see 2, 3, 4 different sporting events in one day on a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever. So not only are, people here to gamble, but now people are coming to come to games and to bet on games. And it's so much fun. There's something happening here every single day, sports wise, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my favorite events, sporting wise, is the Las Vegas Grand Prix that's been there the last couple of years. That's an event where they do it on the Strip, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so F1 signed a 10-year deal here in Vegas to race down the Strip. And that race is definitely coming up soon. So that that was a very new event that happened last year. I know they redid the Las Vegas Strip. So for us locals, it was kind of a nightmare to deal with all the construction and getting in and out of the Strip, but no, it's exciting. I know it brings, fans from all over the world to Las Vegas. And, another sporting event in this town, I'm like, bring it, it's so much fun. And I know that the Super Bowl, they want to put Las Vegas on a rotation. So, if we can get the NFL draft and the Super Bowl, and if we can get the national championship here, dream come true.
I guess when you look at it, how do you think it's impacted UNLV? Has it benefited the football program and
Yeah.
the athletics department as a whole?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, the 49ers, they were in the UNLV facility during Super Bowl. And, when you have these, massive global sporting events in Las Vegas, that's just opportunities for UNLV players to rub arms, to make connections, to network with NFL agents and different sports agents in town, not only for football, but you think basketball too. Team USA practices at UNLV. The Aces, they're always on UNLV's campus working out with the women's basketball team too. So you're just making these connections, you're getting eyeballs on your program. Obviously Allegiant Stadium is, the biggest football venue on the West Coast. So you have all these amazing events, and and you have the Pro Bowl and the NFL draft, and you have all these agents in town. So as we talk about NIL, that's just more of a I don't know, positive effect for UNLV to have all these global sports events here in town. That can only mean that UNLV is headed in the right direction.
And then one last question for you on the Sphere, which I think is like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Do we expect, for those watching the game on TV, do we expect to see any shots of the game on the Sphere, or is it usually
Oh, that
an
would be
emoji or
cool.
something?
Yeah, that would be cool. I know for big games like Monday Night
Yeah.
Football and Sunday Night Football, they like to put that on the Sphere. But I think it's a must see. You have to go kind of drive over there, and it's right on the Strip. So it's literally right down the street from Allegiant Stadium. But as I feel like if UNLV keeps winning, and say they win the Mountain West Championship, or they're headed to the 12-team playoff, it would be so cool to see like a UNLV logo or something on the Sphere. So I know when there's something really big in town, they usually light up the Sphere, and it's so cool. It's really cool. If you have a chance to get out there, it's a must see.
AJ, I can report back this weekend what the Sphere's looking
Yes,
like
I'll need
on
that.
Thursday or Friday. I will say that is a good idea though, because I know out in New Jersey, New York, they put the Empire State Building lights up, and whether it's Mets,
Very
Yankees
cool.
colors, Jets,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. But we thank you again for taking the time, Paloma. We had a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and it's exciting. I think this year in college sports, I mean, basketball season isn't here yet, but I think this is just the most exciting year in collegiate sports. With so many changes going on and the conference realignments and NIL and the transfer portal, it has really created just a spark we've never seen in college sports. It's just so exciting to watch. All these teams get better because of the transfer portal, and and all the NIL deals that are going on. It's made college football really exciting to follow, and in my opinion, Sundays are kind of boring. In my opinion, like I'm not watching 65 points scored, and I'm not watching 4 interceptions on defense, So the transfer portal, I know it's a headache for coaches and it's a headache for programs, but in my opinion, the talent is being dispersed amongst all these different conferences. So you're seeing just more exciting football. And yeah, when I'm watching an NFL game and the final score is 7-3, I'm like, man, Barry Odom and his Rebels are so much more exciting to watch. So
I can't disagree with that. I cannot disagree with that. Thank you again for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.